What's in store for your business this week at Staples?
Doing business like a CEO while saving like a CFO.
Staples has all the supplies you need to run your business like a boss at prices that'll make your bookkeeper smile.
Now that is an achievement.
Everything from markers and pens to 2019 desk calendars.
And right now, a 12-pack of Sharpie markers and an 8-pack of Expo dry erase markers are only $4.99 each.
At Staples, where there's a whole lot in store. Ends 1/19/19, in store only.
Blog Talk Radio.
Alternative facts.
The following message is transmitted at the request of the United States government. At 12:07 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, numerous unidentified objects of unknown intent and unknown origin were detected at high altitudes over multiple locations of Earth's outer space by the National Radio Astronomy Observatory, and these objects are presumed to be some form of controlled aircraft. It is not known if more of these aircraft will arrive, or if they will attempt entering Earth's atmosphere. United States citizens are encouraged to monitor local media outlets, as more updates will follow as information becomes available. The following message is transmitted at the request of the United States government. Attacks by the undead have been reported in several states across the country. The dead are rising from their graves and are attacking the human race. At this time, it is expected that more attacks of this nature will occur in several other states in the next few hours. The intent behind their attack is unknown at this time. He has been observed that a bike or exchange of fluids is a method of transmission. This is an extremely dangerous situation if they crave the taste of human flesh. It is not known whether this event will last for hours, days, or even longer. Stay calm, as authorities have been dispatched to deal with these creatures. An all-clear siren will be sounded when this situation is under control. Pacific Standard Time, nor is detected a long-range nuclear missile launcher. This missile is believed to be headed in the direction of all residents within a 400-mile radius of this area should seek a fallout shelter immediately.
Welcome to Within the Chaos with your host, Rodney the Viking Shortridge, co-host Melinda the Raven Jackson. Want to give a big old shout out to the Facebook paranormal groups that allow us to post our shows on their pages and helping us to get the word out about all of our guests. Also, a shout out to the Connor sisters. Hats off to Misty and Ashley. They are the founders of SOS Sisters of Salem Paranormal Research Society and host of their podcast, Paranormal Party. You can find them on Facebook under Paranormal Party. If anyone would like to speak to Black Diamond Paranormal Society, BDPS, to discuss your paranormal questions or issues, go to our website at blackdiamondps.org or email blackdiamondps@yahoo.com. As always, Our services are free.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. You can listen in by calling 516-387-1922, or you can go to the Vibe Radio Network website at blogtalkradio.com/Vibe Radio Network. For deep within the heart of the Appalachian Mountains, I'd like to welcome everyone and thank you for listening to Within the Chaos. My name is Rodney Shortridge, and I'll be your host tonight, along with my beautiful raven, Melinda Jackson. First off, I'd like to give a shout-out to my cousins up in Ohio, Jennifer and Joe Shortridge of 222 Paranormal. If you get a chance, check out their talk show. You can find them on Facebook under 222 Paranormal.
Have your devices just randomly stopped working? Are you having IT trouble? Not to worry, Mead's PC Repair Shop can help. We also offer IT support too, including website hosting. We are now also offering full event management services. To find out more, contact our friendly customer service team who will gladly help in any situation. Just call 276-880-8900, or if you prefer, you can stop by our shop at 1089 St. Clair Street, Oakwood, Virginia, 24631 by appointment only, or by visiting the website at meadspcshop.com for more information. Thank you.
Well, everyone, tonight our special guest is an investigative journalist and Amazon bestseller author of Stay Away from the Libertarians, whose show, The Witching Hour, looks to put the investigator back into paranormal investigator, Remso Martinez. So, Melinda, how was your week?
Pretty good week.
Is that how you can say just pretty good week? Do you ever not have a bad week?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You got everybody fooled. Everybody's like, damn, so every day you heard them. It's always great weeks, always great weeks.
I work for the mob. Yeah, it can be some bad times.
Be a bad time for somebody who owes them money. And I'm one of them. Shit. What am I talking about? Well, I better get on to this. I'm going to go ahead and get Mr. Martinez on the show here. Well, it's my honor to welcome Mr. Martinez. Hello, Remso, and thank you for joining us tonight. It's an honor to have you on the show, sir.
Folks, it's my honor to be here. Thank you so much for taking the time to let me speak to you and your audience tonight. We're going to have fun.
Oh, it's either fun or it's a nightmare.
Well, she's already having a great week, so I can't bring it down at all.
She always has a great week. My week sucked, but hers is always perfect. I'm Miss Perfect over here. So, Remso, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and and your career, a little bit about how you got to be an investigative journalist?
Absolutely. So it always starts with this: a smart mouth kid with too many questions. I kind of began jumping into the political sphere here in Virginia around 2013, 2014 in college, and probably around the 2016 election, I realized as a political consultant, there's only so much I can do for my clients. There's a big schism between the media and what people are actually seeing. So I wanted to dedicate myself more towards reporting what people were seeing on the ground and giving people an opportunity to actually, come on a professional program and actually get their message out to a larger audience. So I started a podcast around 2016, which I still do currently. And, eventually, history just kind of wrote itself from there. I started doing regular articles, a lot of political commentary, economics, things like that matter, along with the podcast on the side. But around 2017, after my brother Ryan and I graduated from Liberty University, Ryan transferred schools to George Mason. We wanted to start branching out. We wanted to start, having a little bit more fun with things. And something I really discovered was that, my family always had a fascination with the paranormal. And hopefully, as anyone in politics can tell you, dealing with ghosts and demonic activity is far more entertaining and less scary than actual politics. So we needed that creative outlet to a large degree. And that spun off our first documentary series, Haunted Republic, which we did for about a year. And, that became more of where we were getting a large audience. We were getting a lot of press from our discoveries and the evidence we were collecting during filming. So Ryan went ahead and he connected with a local network here in our area, Fairfax Public Access, and he pitched a new redesigned version of Haunted Republic, which is our current show, The Witching Hour, which has already been viewed by, thousands of people, on our terrestrial television networks here in Fairfax County and Erie, Pennsylvania, and online through YouTube and our Facebook page, Argos Paranormal, which is the team we established with some other friends as well so we could expand our work. And so far, we've just had a blast researching, conducting these investigations, and really trying to understand the world around us, because you can't jump into ghosts and paranormal investigating without, having a deep thirst for understanding, okay, if this stuff is really happening, if the evidence we're collecting is correct, what does that say about us and the realm of reality that we're in? So, that's it in a nutshell, basically. We love to go out and investigate the things that most people stay away from, and we have a great time doing it.
Okay.
You're also Amazon's best-selling author of Stay Away from the Libertarians. Can you tell us what inspired you to write this book? And without giving too much away, what is the book about?
Oh, yeah. Well, folks, if you want the full gist after I kind of spill a few of the beans on here, you can go ahead and get the book in Kindle and ebook copy on Amazon.com today. But the book, it was my debut nonfiction book talking about the libertarian movement in the United States from the years of 2012 through 2016, more or less. And before a lot of people tune out, I can assure you the book is in its heart a political comedy. It talks a lot about me. It talks about a lot of the influencers and movers and shakers that I've met over the couple years, and how the libertarian ideology of limited government, this idea that don't hurt people, don't take their stuff, and don't use force in order to coerce other people into doing things that they don't want to do, it's had a large effect on both Republicans and Democrats alike. But it's, I will admit, it is a little bit fringe. It's only come into the mainstream rather recently, and it only became really a household term, I want to say, around 2014, 2015, right before the 2016 election. So this is really the first succinct oral history of what the libertarian movement is, the ins and outs. I discussed a little bit about the economics of it, the view of government, how they use think tanks to get around the purpose of third parties, and what people do with these ideas once they get into, academia or government, for example. So that's really the book in a nutshell, but I really wanted to throw in as much humor, as many personal stories as I could as possible, let people know, it's not a cult, it's not anything that is abnormal, it's just a different way of viewing yourself and society at large. So that way we could hopefully, by a more libertarian standard, which is ultimately more peace, more prosperity for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, what exactly got you started into the paranormal world?
So, as I mentioned earlier, politics gets so, it only goes so far, and anyone that gets in it too long needs an outlet. Ryan and I, when we started doing my podcast full time to help fund my journalism efforts and everything else, we were watching a program on, I don't remember if it was Discovery or History. It was one of the main cable networks, about these investigators, and we were just watching it, and I looked at Ryan, who was the producer for the podcast and went on to be the executive producer for the TV shows that we currently do now. I looked at him and I said, Ryan, you think we could do it any better? And he looked at me and he said, all we need is a camera and a location and we could do it. So it started off as a bit of a joke because we didn't actually really intend on doing too much with it. Our first location, which was St. Albans Sanatorium, was really supposed to be, just maybe a 5-minute clip, but we gathered so much evidence and we had so much footage, it became our first documentary that helped kick everything off to where we are now. And it really just came off with this question. can just everyday regular people go out with very little knowledge and attempt to capture something amazing? And whether it was, some of the most bizarre flashlight sessions of my life, whether it was the feeling of being touched, hearing voices, shadow figures, EVPs, I mean, you name it, we experienced it in a good 6-hour period that left a giant impact on our lives, and not only, kept the show going from Haunted Republic to our new show, The Witching Hour, but, we even started our own investigative group with some other friends that had a lot of the same questions as us. And now this is a regular part of our life. But it always came from that question as to, could we do this, and what would happen if we did? And we saw what happened. Life has not been the same since.
That's awesome.
Well, can you tell us any unexplained or paranormal experiences that left a significant mark on your life?
Okay, so during our second documentary, which is called Suicide Bridge, we went to one of the most haunted locations in the United States, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. And anyone that knows a little bit of American history understands the significance of Gettysburg as the Union turned the tide by defeating Robert E. Lee there. So we were at this one location that typically when other ghost hunters and paranormal shows go to Gettysburg, they usually focus on Little Round Top and a few of the other more mainstream locations. But we went to this one place which really kind of freaked out the locals, actual residents of Gettysburg. This is the one place where they try and stay away from because of a lot of the strange activities that go over there. And Suicide Bridge got its name from, a very, very troubling series of events. It's where a large number of teenagers in the 1990s would go and they'd jump off to the, bottom of the bridge and kill themselves. It was completely devastating. And there's a story of this woman who had a child. She was a white woman who was married to a local, I think it was a councilman or something. She had a child with a black man out of wedlock. And as the police were chasing her, essentially, she ran to the bottom of the bridge, and to prevent her child from, giving them away by crying, she smothered her baby to death. And eventually, upon realizing that she killed her baby, she decided to kill herself. There are a couple different variations of that story. Some say she was, in fact, a slave woman, but, that is, over time, things get distorted. But that's the general gist of it, a mother who accidentally murders her child and then commits suicide there. And then, almost a century later, teenagers and, people who are incredibly mentally ill, depressed, sad, they go there to end their lives. So while we go there, we're strobing the area. We have a laser grid pen to detect movement at both ends of the bridge that are hitting kind of the wood line on each side of the trail. We have a spirit box, which is, for those of you that are listening that don't know that, it's, constantly, turning between FM channels at an accelerated rate. And we have several flashlights that are, might be able to give off some inkling as to something potentially setting them off. So we're there for about 15 minutes. Nothing is happening. We've been out and about throughout the battlefield all night, and there are rumors of demonic activity. They call this post-Civil War activity because whereas at Gettysburg you have a lot of Civil War era ghosts of soldiers and people that lived there during the battlefield, there are also rumors of demonic activity specifically around that bridge. And at this point, the air is becoming thick. The temperature drops by 10 degrees incredibly fast, and a lot of strange stuff is happening immediately. A lot of our cameras are turning on and off. Things were just getting strange. And it was Ryan, my father, and several other people that joined us that night. And all of a sudden, I felt like my brother was playing a joke on me. I felt like someone jumped on my back and put me in kind of like a stranglehold and began to, choke me. And before I could say anything, I feel this thing just jump on my back, beginning to choke me. And I look to my side, and I see my brother standing about 5 feet away. So I think, oh, maybe it's my father just messing with me right now. I, look right next to my brother Ryan, and my father is standing right next to him. So immediately I'm thinking, oh, my God, who is attacking me, and why is no one stopping me? And you can see the full footage. What you see is that no one is on my back, but my body is bending and moving in ways that I couldn't have otherwise done unless I felt like someone was, like a full-grown man was on my back trying to choke me. And, this will live with me forever. It was kind of embarrassing. I ended up puking on camera, and my brother happens to capture the whole. But after that, all of our technology turns off. We hear what we think is cannon fire, and several of our cars at the other end of the bridge all start turning on by themselves. So what did we do in that situation? We ran for the hills, and that was, looking back, it's kind of humorous to a large degree. Everyone will get to see me puking on camera for the rest of eternity, but that was the one moment where I realized, this is, if you do believe in what we're dealing with, it can be potentially dangerous sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, when did you first see a ghost?
So I want to say around 2016, 2017, but the truth is this has been something that my brother and I specifically had thought that we were encountering throughout our lives at different locations. In 2017 in college, Ryan and I were actually roommates. It was my senior year, his freshman year, and we were convinced that somebody was breaking into our room. And on several occasions for about a month, we hadn't spoken to each other about this, but we had both witnessed seeing somebody sitting in the bathtub of our dorm. We would see somebody quickly run up the stairs to where we were and just suddenly disappear around the corner. It wasn't until about, probably a month and a half after this incident where Ryan and I actually looked at each other and we were like, okay, we have to talk about what's going on. And at that point, things did accelerate, and we actually had to perform an exorcism in our room because things began to go violent. We slept in a bunk bed. I was at the bottom bunk, and on one occasion, I thought that Ryan had somehow gotten down like around 4 a.m. and because he used to wake up incredibly early to go work out, probably like before 5 a.m. So I thought he had just left, come back, and smacked me in the face. So I wake up thinking he smacked me, and I look around, and I'm like, okay, what just happened? And I felt this smack, and I'm like, Ryan, what the heck did you do? And I hear him snoring, and he's in his bed. So I'm like, okay, that was just weird. I must have just had a crazy nightmare. About 30 minutes later, it's around 5 o'clock in the morning, I get another smack on my face. And I'm thinking, what is up? What's happening right there? At that point, between the time that I got the first smack on my face when I woke up again from the second smack, Ryan had already left between that time to go to the gym. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going crazy. It wasn't me slapping myself or something. I go to the bathroom to go splash some water on my face, and I see a giant handprint going across my face. And at that point, that was around the time where when Ryan got back from class late that afternoon, I sat him down. I said, we have to talk about something that's happened in our room. And then about probably 5 months after that incident is when we went on our first paranormal investigation, and everything kind of started from there.
Okay. Well, have you been able to communicate with any unseen entities, spirits, or disembodied voices? And, if so, what's the communication been like?
It's been varied, and the beautiful thing is that because Ryan and I are documentarians at our heart, what you can see on our website, argosparanormal.com, that's ARGOS paranormal.com, you can see all the current Witching Hour episodes from season 1 and the old Haunted Republic series. But when it comes to disembodied voices, we've captured everything from just we capture a voice on camera coming from another room or coming from around us that we couldn't hear in that situation, to capturing EVPs. We captured a terrifying EVP at St. Albans Sanatorium, for example, when we actually left a room. And in the recording, which you see in the director's cut of the film Haunted Republic, St. Albans Sanatorium, you get this terrible demonic scream, which is not like anything I've ever heard before. It's just complete rage in that scream, which lasts about 4 or 5 seconds. And there's a timestamp on the computer there. I mean, on the camera that was actually pointed at the recording device, which captured the EVP, and you see that no one was in the space where this happened. But we've captured stuff on there. Typically, what we use if we're trying to get verbal communication is we use a spirit box or a Phasm box software on our laptop. Both the spirit box we use and the Phasm box have both been used by Jason Hawes' group, TAPS, on the Sci-Fi Channel hit Ghost Hunters, as well as Paranormal Lockdown and Ghost Adventures. So we've done a lot of the homework to understand how this works and how we're supposed to differentiate between actual evidence and something else. But yeah, I mean, in terms of voices, we've caught the whole gambit in terms of residual energy, which we hear with our own ears, which we capture on the camera, EVPs, and what we think is actual communication coming through both the spirit boxes and the Phasm boxes. So that is definitely one of the cooler pieces of evidence we've caught on plenty of occasions.
Okay.
How many investigations have you done throughout the year?
Off the top of my head, between 2017 to now, we've probably done upwards of 20 investigations between Virginia and West Virginia. The last investigation we went on was with our friends with Black Sky Paranormal out of West Virginia. We went to Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, which is just something out of your just wildest nightmares. I mean, if you're afraid of never-ending hallways and doorways that lead to nowhere, trapped in places where, I mean, you could easily get lost, Trans-Allegheny is it. But that was about a few months ago. We've taken a break as of late simply because we were just tired and we were putting out the remainder of Season 1 of the show. But as we're looking at Season 2 right now, which the network is excited to bring back, we are looking at other locations outside of West Virginia and Virginia. We're looking at potentially some D.C., Maryland locations as well. So, we're thinking about probably within the year of 2019, at least potentially, I want to say at least 5, maybe no more than 10.
Okay.
So with your paranormal group, can you describe the dynamics of the group, and is this your only paranormal group you've been a part of?
Yes, it is, and primarily the focus of the group is this. It's really a support mechanism for the show, and everyone needs to play a role in it in some way in terms of, filming and helping out with experiments. It's, at this point, my brother, who's the executive producer of the series. I'm the primary host and lead investigator for most of our investigations. And then we have several friends of ours, Brian Sujanan and Mike Amaral. And the beautiful thing is that we all come from different varied backgrounds, whether it's journalism or technology. We have different ways of understanding the things we're encountering. And other than that, the beautiful thing is that we all come from different, worldviews. Some are Christian, some are agnostic, some come from a more pagan worldview. I don't want to put words in someone else's mouth, but, with Brian and Mike, for example, when they started tagging along with Ryan and I, they didn't necessarily believe in what we were encountering, but they were intellectually curious enough to want to go out and see what we were doing themselves. And eventually they began to come to their own opinions of, the type of paranormal occurrences which they were witnessing. And they wanted to join our group to help us further our research and everything we were doing. So, it's a small, tight-knit group, but we do work with several other paranormal groups. Portsmouth Paranormal Society is one which we recently did an investigation with about 4 months ago at the Graffiti House and the nearby church. Black Sky Paranormal, as I mentioned earlier, they were featured in several of our documentaries. They were on Haunted Republic, St. Albans Sanatorium, as well as the last episode of The Witching Hour this season. So, we try and work well with everybody because we're trying to find the same answers to the same questions. What's going on and how can we do this together?
Okay. Well, what are your techniques such as when you're working on an investigation, do you go into it scientific, religious, metaphysical, or just the spiritual based on the information that you have?
I try and use a lot of my skills as a investigative journalist to try and understand what's occurring. And I primarily go off of what police do when they're investigating a crime, for example, which is you need overlapping evidence that you can try and test out in order to see if something is reoccurring or if you're getting the results that you expect or don't expect. So essentially, if I go into a room, for example, I want to go ahead and check the things that could potentially validate some of the rumors I heard. I want to go ahead and go out with an EMF detector to see if maybe there's a surge in electric energy in the air. I want to go ahead and I want to check the windows. I want to walk around every part of the floor to go ahead and see if maybe there's a weird plank or something, or if one of the doors, the hinges are broken. So first I want to go ahead and really cancel out all the factors that could lead to us getting, tainted results. From there, what I do is I try and, get my first two pieces of evidence, which are I want to try and make contact, and then I want to see if something can contact us directly as well. So I want to initiate contact, and then I want several forms of communication back to me to validate that what I'm encountering is real. So typically what I'll start off with is the fast box or the spirit box, so that way I can try and get some verbal communication. But we do also depend a lot on flashlight sessions, which are just basically the $8 mag lights that are twistable. So we go ahead and twist it to the point where you can, you have to actually put some force to it to get it to move and turn on. But then you go ahead and you isolate it. So you keep it away from everyone else. You make sure it's on a sturdy surface. And then from there, you try and communicate through the phasma box and see if something on the other end can interact with that and the light. So that way you don't just have one piece of evidence, you have two pieces of evidence. And then from there, you see what works best, and you kind of follow the case from there. There's never one step to finding out if something is happening, but that's typically how I try and initiate a session to see if there is anything paranormal occurring where I am.
Okay.
Well, what is your favorite piece of equipment to use during an investigation?
I've got to say the phasma box, and that's usually a cop out. But I am a sucker for simplicity, and sometimes that is where you can get the most amount of evidence really fast. And I think if you're dealing with a spirit, for example, I think humans, naturally want to communicate. So that is typically where we get a lot of our initial evidence. It's probably my favorite piece.
Okay. Well, in your opinion, what do you think a demon is?
In my opinion, and I come from a Christian worldview, I think a demon is a fallen angel which tried to strike up against God and was cast down to live the rest of existence in pain and misery. And because of their hatred for humanity and mankind, they're attempting to drag as many souls to hell with them as possible. So they prey on the living like predators.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, are there any teams or individuals in the paranormal field that are inspirational to you? And if so, can you tell us how they impacted you?
Jason Hawes, and I've been on his program on several occasions. I think our family interest in the paranormal definitely did start with Ghost Hunters on Sci-Fi Channel. I mean, that definitely made us question what is and isn't happening. But Ralph Sarchi, former New York City police officer and Detective Ralph Sarchi, who wrote the book Deliver Us from Evil. He's currently an investigator, but he's also a demonologist. Definitely somebody with his background and having to deal with everyday crime and understanding how to investigate. I really do believe, that he has really brought a lot of these ideas mainstream in terms of, the demonic forces that plague the world. But I think at the end of the day, it really goes back to Ed and Lorraine Warren and the investigations that they were able to conduct each other. because what they did was they went ahead and they really paved the way for all of us. I think we're all walking in the footsteps of Ed and Lorraine Warren today.
Mm-hmm. Well, in your opinion, what do you think a ghost is?
I think, and this might sound like I'm trying to dodge the question, but I believe that when you die, you're going to heaven or hell. I think when we're dealing with ghosts, we're dealing with someone that is stuck somewhere. I don't necessarily know if it's purgatory. I don't know if it's something, just like energy. You can't destroy energy. And if you believe in the spirit, I believe that the spirit is energy. I mean, it has to go somewhere. I am convinced that a ghost is a spirit that is either, intelligent, like it can interact with you and it knows what it's doing, or it can be residual in a sense because of something traumatic or something, really vital to an area or something specific. So I think a ghost is remnants of a human spirit which is trapped where they're not supposed to.
Well, the ones that, the way I think about this, the ones that I guess you could say conscience of knowing that they're still here, do you think that they have a choice on to move forward or to just stay here?
That's a question I'm still trying to answer because, I came from a Catholic background, and the Catholic Church has had a weird history of purgatory. We don't talk about it necessarily in Protestant circles, and I'm a Methodist right now, but I think if I had to point somewhere, I'd have to point to purgatory. I don't necessarily think that purgatory is even how it's mentioned in some portions of Scripture and other doctrinal teachings. I don't necessarily think that it's necessarily like a pocket realm between heaven and hell. I think purgatory might be that in some way, but I think purgatory is here. I think we're in it. We can't see it, but if it had to be somewhere, I think it occupies the same space as you and I right now. I'm interested. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, my religious beliefs is, I do believe we're, energy, but as far as, having a soul or spirit that goes to heaven or hell, I don't really believe that. I think we're just part of the universe that once we die, we just go back into it. And the ones that energy is stuck here for some reason, or they choose to stay here for a reason, I think that's one of the big questions that when we do investigations, and other people I've spoke with that's paranormal investigators, is that's one of the biggest questions they're trying to find out from each EVP we get or ghost or spirit we encounter. So that's just my thoughts on it.
Oh, that's really interesting. I haven't thought of it that way before.
Well, what do you find most challenging, during an investigation?
Oh, patience.
No kidding.
I am probably one of the least patient people on earth. I think if I've gleaned something from investigating, it is that, you have to be patient because you're not dealing with, zoo animals. You're dealing with something which is truly outside the realm of, basic understanding. You're dealing with, essentially, I've joked about this, we're yelling at invisible people. And sometimes they're invisible imaginary people if you get mad enough. But it's patience, and you really have to, try different things. You have to try different experiments. We went to one location here in Virginia where we were vetting it for an episode of the show, and there was a rumor at this winery on the second floor. If you look at the floor, you'll see, it's wood paneling. You'll see an imprint of a body. And they also say that, you could see the body and that people feel like they walk up there and they're going to start, going into a vertigo trip and they're going to puke and people feel like the room is spinning. what I found out in 5 minutes was that at dusk, when you look at the floor, it highlights this area, which is a stain from something. I think it's a water stain, and if you look at it from a certain angle in the room, when the light hits it, it looks like the outline of a body. So immediately I was like, that's not just something that appears. It's something that is there, and you can only see it if you stand in a certain way when the light is hitting the floor. So immediately that was debunked. So then the question was, okay, why does everyone feel sick when they're up there? What I found on the table nearby was a mason jar. And I felt from the very beginning that something was kind of off because I tripped just walking across the flat floor. But what I did was I walked over to the end of the room, and I put the mason jar on its side, and I just tapped it, and I realized that the floor was slanted. So you walk up there on a hot day, and you're moving stuff around enough, and you're walking around, you're going to start to feel dizzy. So within 30 minutes, I had just debunked the entire second floor's strange circumstance. And, that sometimes it's as easy as that. Sometimes I'm in a room for 5 hours and nothing happens. But, the most difficult thing is being patient.
Mm-hmm.
Well, do you have any skepticism when you approach a paranormal or supernatural claim?
Oh, absolutely. I thought everyone was crazy. I thought, especially the folks in West Virginia, God bless them. I thought they were all on crack or PCP or something. The one of the biggest lessons I've learned is that I definitely have to give people the benefit of the doubt and give them respect, because I might not believe what they believe, but I believe they believe what they believe. That might sound strange, but does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. I agree.
Yeah, for example, I don't believe in Bigfoot. But if you tell me you saw Bigfoot and you believe you saw Bigfoot, then I will believe that you think you saw Bigfoot. Like, I'm not going to call you a liar. I'm not going to try and debunk you. I mean, we'll go Bigfoot hunting together. I've offered people that. It's like, if you really believe in some food and grab some guns and get some camping equipment, let's go find Bigfoot. Let's go explore together.
I agree with the gun part, definitely.
Yeah, like if I'm going to go deal with, I know that there are some real big Sasquatch aficionados out there, but like if I'm dealing with a giant, ape-like monster creature, like you better believe I'm shooting that thing.
Exactly. I mean, come on.
Like, you're telling me that he's been the hide-and-seek champion for like a millennia, and he's going to let me see him, and suddenly I'm going to be allowed to just walk away? I don't think that's how he plays that game.
Yeah, I don't think so either. That's when you disappear along with him.
Yeah, unless you're in Virginia. I mean, unless you're in, like, West Virginia, people are going to be like, well, were you on PCP? And it's like, well, was that part of the question? I love West Virginia. Great people. I love that state.
Yeah, they're always high. It's the reason why it's, almost heaven? Because they keep popping them pills and making stuff.
Everyone's seeing ghosts and Bigfoot, but I don't think they're seeing the real thing.
That's right. I mean, if you sit up there and hang out with them long enough, you're going to be seeing them too. You'll be like, you know what I've seen? I've seen a 15-foot gorilla man.
I have one better than that. Did you ever read in the paper where that 80-year-old man shot that other man in a tree stand because he thought it was a squirrel?
No.
Oh
my God.
Oh my gosh.
No, kid. Good Lord. Oh, mercy.
So,
what
kind of mistakes have you made during investigation?
Oh man, forgetting to turn on my cameras.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you might think that's a simple mistake, but yeah, that happens. One time we thought that we were experiencing something trying to blow up one of our speakers. Instead, what we found out was we were right next to a power generator.
Wow.
one time I thought that I was attacked by something outside, but I actually just stepped in a ditch.
I'm sorry, that was a good one.
Yeah, one time I thought that something stole my keys out of my pocket, but what I realized was I actually just locked them in my car. The list can go on. The list can go on.
Well, were you talking about the cameras now? I don't mean to interject this, but anytime someone says this, I have to bring this story up. One time we were investigating the cemetery, and I mean we had all kinds of activity going on in that cemetery.
Oh no, I know this one.
And I finally went into the tent, to watch the monitors, and all of a sudden one of the cameras I seen the fog moving in, just in that one little spot, and it looked like a human shape. And I told a guy that was there, I'm like, hey, behind you there's a mist or a fog or something moving behind you. Can you see it? And he turns around. He's like, I don't see it. I'm like, well, it's almost right on top of you. And then all of a sudden it just disappeared. And I'm like, well, what the hell? And something caught my eye to look down at the yard. And the little red button, and the little glowy light that says, record wasn't glowing.
Oh my God.
I'm like, does the little record light supposed to be on when it's recording? And the guys that hook up everything's like, yeah, why? I'm like, well, it's not on. Well, push the button. I pushed the button and the little red light came on. I'm like, it's recording now. And they're like, well, we've been here all night. I'm like, yeah, I had a whole lot of bad words to say. That
I can imagine.
Dude, I'm about to put my hair out. I'm like, you people making me bald. It ain't just Mother Nature. It's y'all.
I'm telling you, when that specifically happened on several occasions, like I got so upset, I thought about just packing up and going home. Because I was like, nothing is going to make up for this moment, which we captured with our own eyes, but we'll never be able to show anybody.
Exactly. And I felt the same way. Which story was you thinking?
About, what's his name? The Santa Claus.
Dave?
Yeah, remember what he did?
Oh. Well, actually, he did it at the same place.
Did he?
Yeah, but thank goodness it wouldn't record. Because Dave, a lot of them, I'm sure you do this too sometimes. Some groups do, some don't. When nothing's really going on, people kind of get a little bored and they get stupid. Well, I was sitting there watching the camera, and all of a sudden I seen the camera move, and I'm like, what in the heck? Whoa, something's going on with the camera. Next thing I see a scrotum. I'm like, what the hell is that? And then,
who were you investigating with?
A bunch of buddies of mine, and they're
did you say squirrel or scrotum? I just want to make sure I heard that correctly.
Scrotum, ball sack. I seen a ball sack, and I hollered out so loud, like, "What the hell?" That he started laughing and fell over with the camera. And you should have heard. And I mean, that whole graveyard lit up. Everybody laughing like 3:00 in the morning at me.
Oh my God.
But yeah,
that is okay. I had a similar situation. I mean, I wasn't staring at someone's ball sack, but Ryan and I had just gotten off of work, and Ryan and I drove about an hour out to this location, and we got there around 9 o'clock, but we wanted to wait closer to midnight to start the investigation when a lot of the outside traffic died down. So Ryan was doing some homework, and I brought a sleeping bag, and we set up in the gift shop, which is in the house's old living room. And Ryan's doing homework, and I was asleep. And I was thinking I can get a good 3 hours of sleep because I've been working since about 4 a.m. that day. So I'm asleep. About 2 hours in, Ryan and I both hear coming from the hallway this little girl saying, "Hello? Hello?" So I hear that, and it makes me wake up. I want to jump out and go see what it is. But what I realized was at some point, I guess I must have taken my jeans off, so I was just in my boxers. And I didn't want, if there was a little girl in there, I didn't want to jump up in this house with two grown men as I run into the hallway to see what might be a child in my boxers. So I just kind of wake up and I look at Ryan, and he looks back at me, and I'm like, I don't want to go see it. Not because I was afraid or anything, but because in that quick minute I just realized, oh, wait, I don't have my pants on.
Oh, my goodness. Those are the greatest part of the story sometimes of investigating.
The things that will never be on TV.
Yeah, the stuff that cannot be seen on TV or that you don't want nobody else to see. I didn't want to see his ball sack, but hey, I did. I didn't know what it was at first. I'm like, what the hell is that?
It's so shriveled.
It's like, what kind of ghost is that? You know?
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
you win. You win.
I don't want to win that war. I don't want to win.
Oh, sorry, man. You're getting the Golden Globe for that one. The golden scrotum.
At least, yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think, ain't that what your West Virginians have on the back of their truck?
Yeah.
And golden cow balls.
Yeah. Oh, the tailgate balls.
Yeah.
I'll be like, I've seen them in camera, up close.
Oh, my
Dave.
Lord.
Always, every time I see them, I think about Dave. Okay, you go ahead.
Okay. What advice would you give to? She stopped his read.
This is a good one. I like that.
What advice would you give to a newcomer coming into the paranormal field?
Oh, well, I mean, after our investigation, after our previous discussion, I'd say always be clothed. But
be clothed.
I feel like that's yeah. But I think the biggest thing always comes down to mindset. I mean, you can spend all the money in the world, you could do all the reading and research in the world before you go out and do something. But if you're not open-minded, if you're not willing to question your own beliefs and to learn and listen to others, you're not going to get very far. So I think it's coming at everything with a sense of respect and open-mindedness, which will help you get farther in this field.
Okay. Well, what is the best evidence that you've captured so far as audio or video or still camera?
Oh, it's definitely been several. I don't know how to categorize the third one, but we have caught several physical apparitions in terms of just black masses, residual energy that looks like the outline of a person walking through a still camera. But I think the biggest one was actually seen on this season's episode of the Occoquan Inn, which is Occoquan Inn Part 1 for this season of The Witching Hour, where Brian, my brother Ryan, and myself are in one of the main buffet areas of this restaurant, and the ceiling fan, which has a light attached to it, the light starts to slowly start glowing, and it turns on by itself. And this is after we went over to this fireplace in the room where people apparently see the fireplace start glowing and you see a face in the fire. So we're talking to this fireplace, hoping that something happens, and suddenly the ceiling light starts to glow and turn on, and then, we're all kind of freaking out. You could see the full episode online, but we're kind of like, we have this nervous laughter, and then we're like, okay, can you please turn it off? So now you have this light, which was slowly starting to glow and turn on itself, like in the drop of a match, it just turns off. So we're thinking, okay, obviously this was just a weird situation. I asked Ryan to go over to the switch to try and turn on the fan and the light, and none of it worked. The ceiling light that was attached to the fan just came on and turned off by itself. We think we were talking to the entity in the room, and instead of making something in the fireplace pop up, it decided to make a much more grand entrance. And we caught the entire thing on film, which was remarkable. That was probably my favorite.
Wow, that's awesome.
We had something like that, remember, with the light bulb?
Well, you did in the bathroom.
Yeah, I did. So,
yeah, those are the ones that stick with you.
Oh, one time we were it's the Nickerson Sneed House. If you ever get a chance, check it out. It's down at Glade Springs, Virginia. And me, Melinda, and Robin was sitting there watching the monitors while Jeff and Scott was upstairs. And, you know, it was late. Everybody's getting tired. Nothing really was going on. And right in between, it felt like it was right in between, because I was sitting in the middle and the girls were on each side of me, of, what was the voice that said? What was it? Whisper?
You said no.
We said no.
You went,
yeah, it was one of those long, no. And, you know, I just kind of looked at Melinda, and her eyeballs are, you know, the size of a saucer's, and I looked over, and Robin, her eyes are open. I'm like, so I take it you all heard that shit too.
we were like, yes.
And they're like, yes, we heard that. I'm like, oh my God. We have a recorder here. And of course, we didn't. And then here the guys upstairs, they heard, what's going on? I'm like, you ain't gonna believe this shit. And we ain't got nothing here. Oh my God. But yeah, I hate it when we have an investigation or something like that happens. Like, I mean, I'm excited that we got to, you know, have that experience with each other, but you know, it's just a story. You know, you ain't got no proof. That sucks.
And it was really loud.
That's beautiful.
He's like, this boy gets balls and EVPs and no evidence. I suck as a paranormal investigator, I think.
No, you don't.
Everyone has those moments. We're all going crazy at one point for when something like that happens.
Mm-hmm. Yes, true.
So, what is the strangest or weirdest case you've ever investigated?
The weirdest and strangest place I've ever investigated. Oh, man, that is tough. Wow, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Actually, okay, so we were at a Fleetwood Church. So this is one of the weirdest things that happened. We were at Fleetwood Church, and it's this old church. It was actually right next to the graffiti house. We did 2 episodes at each location. And nothing's really happening inside the church. Now, on the outside of the church, there are several hundred unmarked graves. We caught a lot of evidence outside. But inside the church, I thought that my brother passed gas at one point. So I start smelling this weird smell, and at one point I'm just like, you know, I'm looking at my brother and I'm blaming him. I'm like, you know, if you're going to do that, at least fess up to it. Like, that is, like, sinful. Like, that's like mustard gas right there. Like, you could declare chemical warfare on somebody. And then the smell changed, and it smelled like vinegar. So on camera, you hear me complaining of the smell. I'm just like, this is just terrible, and Ryan doesn't smell anything. So we send the footage to the owner of the church, and he said, yep, Remso smells vinegar. Yeah, me and all my nieces who go in there, when we start smelling vinegar, that's when something strange happens. About 5 minutes later, we started getting some weird activity in the church. But, I mean, It was just like, if you have to signal that to somebody that you're there, like, why a smell? Especially something so putrid. Like, other people say, oh, yeah, I smell cookies, I smell burning wood, I smell perfume. Why do I have to smell farts and vinegar? That's just not fair.
You smell ghost farts. That's what that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you win that prize. for worst smells.
So,
not what you ask for, it's what you get.
Yeah.
So, do you prefer to investigate residential, historical, or commercial property?
To be completely honest, we have never actually investigated a residential property. I'd be willing to, but I also have some reservations about that for personal reasons. I will say that for the sake of our show, one thing that we love to do with the Witching Hour is we've been blessed with the opportunity to go and actually explore a lot of Virginia's, beautiful history. And by covering it from the paranormal aspect, we're able to cover that, but we also cover a lot of the history of the locations we go to. And we really want to, let people know, not just tourists, but even people in, the Beltway area that, there's an entire state out there with some beautiful history that a lot of people can live in Virginia all their lives for and not know about it or even go visit. So, like Colonial Williamsburg is going bankrupt. And, we let that happen. So by bringing attention to a lot of these historic locations, it's a way of contributing to our history and contributing to a beautiful industry that's keeping our heritage alive.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Well, how do you feel about, paranormal groups today compared to when you started investigating the paranormal yourself?
Well, I will say that I like to think that we have had some impact on the industry, and by that I mean we're wearing a lot less black and leather. So,
I'm sorry. I just seen chaps in my head when you said that.
How often do you see a paranormal group online and they're all wearing black and leather and they look like they're some biker group listening to Metallica? It's like, guys, I just got off work. You're going to see me, like, in the show, like, people are like, Remso, why do you dress like a bum? And it's like, oh, that time I wore jeans and a polo, I just got off work and I had to drive 3 hours to this place. And then my biggest sin was I wore workout pants on an episode, and someone was like, why are you wearing gym shorts? And it's like, because you try doing what I'm doing uncomfortable, and you're going to want the gym shorts too.
Exactly.
So I've seen that other groups have been a little bit more relaxed with their clothing choices when they go out and film an investigation.
Yeah, I'm pretty lax. But one time we went on an investigation, which I shouldn't have done this, but my wife had bought me a pair of lime, we call it highlighter yellow.
We call it a highlighter, yeah.
They call me a highlighter because she bought me it was a highlighter yellow shorts and tank top.
And hat.
And I mean, it was hot. I mean, it was like 100 degrees back there. And I'm walking around, they kept calling me a big-ass highlighter. And then one of them's like, well, you kind of look like a lemon, too. And I'm like,
oh, my God.
But, yeah, I can't tell because I'm one of these people. I believe in being comfortable.
Yeah, like you're not getting paid for this. You're working during the day already. You might as well dress however you want.
Yep, I agree.
But no one judge you.
You coming in there and in 100-degree weather, and you got black pants, black shoes, black shirt, black just coming in there, Johnny cashing it. Then you're the one suffering, not me. Go in the attic. You'll think about
like more power to you. But I'm sticking with my gym shorts.
That's right, and I'm in the basement.
I mean, it's not like the ghost is going to say, "I can't believe you wore that."
Ghost is going to be like, "Look at that
dress for me." One question I do have, and maybe you two have experienced this, but why is it like all ghosts are from like the 1800s or from like colonial eras? Why is it I never get like the ghost of the punk rocker that died in his basement? Why is it I'm always hearing like salutations, greetings, my name is Mary, Robert? It's always something sophisticated. I never get, hey bro, I'm here over a spirit box. I'm waiting for that, like the 1990s ghost to come out.
Oh, and I agree with you. And I'll even go a step further. Why don't we hear anything from like, I don't know, 1600s or I don't know, the year 5000 BC.
Yeah, where are the cavemen?
Yeah, why ain't I here? Come on, give me some of that. I might not understand you, but
okay. One thing that bugs me when I watch these international ghost shows where these Americans will go to like foreign-speaking countries and they're getting results in English. It's like if you're in an old freaking like Italian castle. You're telling me that these dudes in the 1500s are speaking English?
Exactly.
Like, are you shitting me?
I mean, I agree with you 100%. And I had an uncle, the one that got me started in the paranormal. And, you know, he was a firm believer that if a spirit can hear you speak in, say, English, then, and they were French or Italian, that they can tell you, they can speak your language and you can understand it. And I'm like, how? Do they have some kind of translator or something?
That new device you were talking about.
Yeah, a damn translator. Oh, well, here comes another damn American.
Yeah, like I'm Puerto Rican. Like I was too lazy to learn Spanish in life. You better bet I'm not going to learn it in death.
Exactly. I mean, to me, history just, I was like, you're, dude, I don't know what you smoked back in the 50s, but damn. Okay.
What's going on?
Well, with your show, excuse me, The Witching Hour, you know, what are you trying to convey to your viewers? What are you trying to do? Are you just trying to be like all the other shows, or what's making you so different in the dynamics of your shows?
Well, first, I'm much better looking than most of the others on the show. So, you know, I mean, obviously I bring that factor into things. You know, you got to go ahead and learn what your strengths are, and that's my strength. But in all seriousness,
Melinda, you got to watch that. I have to take your word for it. I'll let Melinda say.
Well, you know, this George Clooney, you know, face doesn't just wake up in the morning looking that way. Anyway, the biggest thing that we want to do is we want to go ahead and show a lot more of the historic locations in Virginia, highlight that to get people interested in. But, you know, also let people know that anyone can do this. And what makes Argos Paranormal, I think, such a unique group is that we all have backgrounds in either, you know, science, technology, and journalism. So we come at everything from a very, you know, investigative angle. And I think a lot of shows have gotten lazy with the way in which to go and investigate locations. They don't respect where they are, and then they go in and they're just running around screaming, saying that everything they encounter is a ghost. What we show you is the process. And sometimes the process is amazing. Sometimes the process is quite boring, but we're going to go ahead and try and do what we can to put you in that moment with us. So that way, each episode of The Witching Hour, you know, we want the viewer to feel like they're there with us. And from what we've gathered from the reception of season 1 is that we really have succeeded at that. And that's something I'm incredibly proud of.
And you should be. That's awesome. Well, are there any places in the country that, you know, that you'd love to go investigate that you haven't investigated yet?
I've got a whole list, but I really want to go to Salem, Massachusetts, and check that out. That's one place on there. You know, Lake Shawnee, West Virginia, is one location in our neck of the woods that I have not had a chance to go to. I mean, there's more than enough time to do it, but I've got a long list of places I want to go check out, and hopefully I'll get an opportunity to eventually.
That's awesome.
How would you say the paranormal world has shaped your life?
It's made me a lot more open-minded and respectful towards the point of views of other people. I've become a lot more tolerant, willing to listen, and you know, question some of my own beliefs. But you know, it's provided me a great network of friends and peers that I wouldn't have had otherwise. And it's definitely, from a journalistic perspective, I mean, at the beginning I was worried that, you know, if people thought I believed in ghosts and I was chasing things at night, they would think I was crazy. But in fact, because of the way that we did both our Haunted Republic series and our current series, you know, I not only stand out amongst other journalists who are, you know, kind of afraid to go out and try this, because they're afraid of how people will react, but because I've shown them what I'm doing and I'm treating it very seriously, you know, I've come out with a good ounce of respect in this. And in terms of the paranormal field, I'm pretty sure that I'm the only, you know, current journalist that's actually, you know, doing this as well. So I think I bring a lot more of that seasoned perspective as to how to, use my investigative talents and experience in order to try and, use that towards paranormal investigating. So, I mean, it's definitely been a big influence upon my life.
Okay. Well, we were just talking about other paranormal shows. Do you think the way they have changed, do you think it's actually hurting the paranormal field right now, or do you think it might be helping?
I think it's actually harms. I mean, I've got gripes and complaints about some of them, but, I mean, I come at it this way. If you believe in the paranormal, you'll find reasons to excuse certain behavior. If you don't believe in the paranormal, you are never going to watch those shows anyway. But one thing I will mention is that, there are more paranormal shows now, and there are more people willing to talk about it now than at any point in, I want to say, the last maybe 20, 30 years. So I think in a sense we're in a bit of a paranormal renaissance because we're seeing this, plugged into the mainstream. And every day we get messages and emails for Argos Paranormal of people that have watched our show or another show, and they might be firm believers or they might just be curious people that want to go out and explore this. But more people want to get involved because I think it's instinctively human to have these questions. Because the moment you jump into the paranormal, you're jumping into the biggest question on earth: what comes after death? And everyone has that question.
That's true. Well, where do you think the future of the paranormal world is headed?
I hope that within my lifetime, and I hope the contribution that my team will help other, just in our small way do for the paranormal community, is I want us to be treated as a real science and not a pseudoscience. And I think as we begin to change the hearts and minds of just regular people, we'll be taken out of the strange category of just people running around yelling at imaginary people, and we'll be able to have a real discussion as to what we're actually encountering. So I'm really hoping that we'll be taken more seriously as a field within the decade, hopefully. Because technology, culture, everything is pointing to the fact that, this is something happening and we can't keep going and denying it.
Okay.
I know you said you haven't done a residential investigation, but what is your opinion on how an investigator or a paranormal group can help a client that's having activity in their home?
Definitely, if you're going to reach out to a group, I don't think I'm the person to answer this question. Definitely do a little bit of research, just like anything else. I wish there was an Angie's List for ghost hunters, because obviously I don't just feel comfortable with anyone checking my house. But before you really start to question, is my home haunted, really assess what's been going on, because once you take that leap, you might be finding things that you might not be comfortable with. And the moment you bring a paranormal investigating group into your home, be prepared to kind of expose everything to them, because if you withhold information that could potentially change a case, that might affect you adversely. So, prepare for honesty in that situation. So, yeah, do your homework and prepare to confront some pretty uncomfortable things once you kind of cross that bridge.
Okay. What is your opinion on people claiming that they have psychic abilities?
This is going to make me unpopular. But,
damn, what a sigh.
Okay. So I'm trying to find the most politically correct way to say this, because I don't want to encounter the one psychic that's going to make my brain explode like in that movie Scanners. Do I believe in psychic ability? The answer is yes. Have I met anyone I believe is psychic? No, except one person. But I put that person through the ringer before I believed them. I've met probably dozens. I'll put a number to it. I've probably met maybe 20 to 30 people that claim to have psychic ability. I believe one of them. I believe that everyone else really needs to stop hitting the crack pipe, and some people need to go see a therapist. But yeah, that's my stance on that. Do I believe it's real? Yes. Do I believe everyone that says they're psychic? Hell no. That has not happened yet.
I like this guy.
I do. Well, the one person, did they help you on the case? And if so, did it help her?
It was really funny because this was really my girlfriend's doing. But long story short, I had something follow me home one time, and it was starting to really kind of bug me. So my girlfriend was like, here, I found this mineral store, which is also a spiritualist shopping plaza. And I was like, I have no clue what that is. So we walk into like this hippie store with like, I'm afraid that we're going to start walking into an anti-war commune or something. And it was just like I had never been into a store like that. And immediately she grabs my hand, takes me to the back, and I see this woman, my friend Jada, and she's she's essentially like, a Wicca or a witch doctor or something. I mean, I always get it mixed up, but my girlfriend tells me, you got to tell this woman what's going on. So before I say, okay, I have this female ghost that followed me home and she's following me everywhere, she looks at me, and before I say anything, she says, is it because of the woman to your right? Now, for a second, I thought, oh, she's talking about my girlfriend. I look over and I realize my girlfriend's on my left side. I look over to my right, and I see this entity which had been following me for at least a week. And in that moment, I was like, can you describe her? And she said, it's it's a tall woman in black garbs with, severe acne on her face and tangled gray hair. And long story short, we became very close friends after that because she helped me get that spirit out of my house. And yeah, that was that.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, I think mediums and empaths are probably much more frequent than psychics. I will say that.
Well, what is your opinion about people that do the tarot cards, tea readings, and healings and stuff like that?
In Christianity, it's all evil, but I'm willing to take a gamble. I think if you go into anything with evil intent, you're gonna get evil outcomes. But if you do things just to kind of suss out a severe question or something, I think the only amount of danger you can get from anything is as much danger as you go into it with. So I don't have a problem. But I think, it's like fortune cookies. Fortune cookies really Chinese? No, they were made in Los Angeles. It's probably some underpaid dude named Frank who doesn't speak English who's writing those things anyway. So I think you should go into everything and kind of, just go into it with a little bit of doubt and a little bit of curiosity and just, dealer's choice. Make your own outcomes of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, earlier in the show, you were talking about, your opinion about the afterlife. You think people go to heaven or hell after death. Is that the only stance you have on that, or do you see any other outcomes of possibility, theories that you might have about the afterlife?
If I'm wrong, and it is a big if, because I'm pretty solid in my Christian faith and my view of reality, and I'm pretty dead set on that. But if I was wrong, I want to say that we're in a giant computer simulation. And I say that because of this question. Now, are you both ready? Because I'm expecting an actual answer from this. So are you set? Are you ready? You can hear me and everything?
Yes.
Okay. Where are all the dead bodies in the world?
Well, most of them have decayed. and in the ground or in the ocean.
Okay, think about it, though. Los Angeles County has really been around only as it's been since around the 1850s. Los Angeles County Cemetery has around 20,000 people. They have over 2 million people that live in LA, and of that, around 20 to 30,000 people die annually. So at the rate at which people are living and dying in Los Angeles County, assuming that a good chunk of those people that die are going to be buried or cremated there, that means that the entire city should be like a giant cemetery. So unless the smokestacks are just burning with cremations or we're turning people into shark food or something, you take that and apply it to every major city in the world. Cemeteries, you drive by a cemetery, cemeteries aren't really growing. And you look at the rate at which people are cremating themselves, it's more so than prior generations. But you look at everyone that's ever lived and take into account the fact that for most of humanity, different cultures have found ways to ceremoniously bury people, then we should have massive graves all over the place. We shouldn't be able to go a mile without seeing just a random grave in the floor. So if that is right and my stats are right on that, then that just means that a lot of bodies are just disappearing without reason. And the only way to explain that is if you treat it like a video game when you kill someone and their bodies just disappear. Because if you believe in evolution, we're dealing with billions of years, and we're dealing with potentially billions of people, hundreds of billions of people, then those are a lot of bodies that are just gone.
That's a good point.
I never thought of that.
Besides, there are also just some really stupid people where I'm like, you can't be like a living person. You've got to be a computer program.
You got to be a damn virus of the people I met. Especially in West Virginia. Oh, Lord.
God bless West Virginia.
I like West Virginia, too, because, man, they take the bluntest of a lot of jokes. Them and their Mountain Dew and what they call it, hillbilly crack.
Oh, I'm telling you, every day I live in the Beltway, I'm thinking about moving to West Virginia.
Hey, I know a place.
I'm treating them more stupid.
See, we live about 30 miles from West Virginia, and because we're down here in Virginia on that part that in your part don't even realize that we're here. We're near Kentucky, Tennessee, and North Carolina.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They're in that part.
They all say it. They all say it. Where are you from? Virginia? Where's that at? In Virginia? You know, that part y'all don't give a shit about. Oh, yeah. We know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we just get taxed and we throw our money to the rest of the Commonwealth. We don't know where it goes, but it goes somewhere, hopefully. It comes down here to a lot of people down this way. And they're getting ready to find out. Hillbilly crack. That's where they go get their hillbilly crack. They go across the border. They're going to find out next month if this deal don't work out with Trump, what you're going to do without no food stamps. They're going to shit. They're going to be a riot down here. Yeah, the South will rise again very fast. Yeah, we'll rise for a loaf of bread and a pack of bologna. You guys are going to go back and you're going to just start dumping all your dollars. You're going to start using Confederate cash and cigarettes to get things.
Hey, good thing
full on barter system.
Yeah. Well, see, we can do that here. I can do that. Heck, I got some Confederate money down there in my mom's safe. So, hey, I'm good to go. Yeah, I lived in a small town called Marion, Alabama, for 2 years, and the joke was that they haven't stopped using Confederate money because they never knew the war ended. I think that's a lot around here. Now tell me if this ain't an oxymoron. I don't know how you feel about it, but if you're flying the American flag and the rebel flag on the back of your Ford pickup, isn't that an oxymoron?
Well, I mean, I say the same thing about people that have Gadsden flags and then have the black and white American flag with the thin blue line. You're telling me that when the cops come for your guns, if gun confiscation is happening, you're just going to give it to them?
Exactly.
Like, I'm not condoning anything, but I'm saying that's the logical course of action. Say one and then say the other. It's like, I love the cops, but stay away from me. It's like, you can't have both in that second.
Exactly.
Like, I'm not taking a stance on one or the other, but I'm just saying, like, that's kind of stupid.
Well, see, I do take a stance on it with people because there's a lot of people in my area that they got their American flag up and they got their rebel flag up, and I you know, I'm like, do you understand that the one with the red, white, and blue stars, the 50 states, and the one that the rebel flag with the war flag, did you know that they fought, right? Yeah, and I love America. And I love the South, and I love the Confederate. You know, the American was the Union. Why can't you people understand this?
They don't.
Yeah, like they kind of came into Virginia on their way down south, and they burned everything. Like, yeah, like they kind of destroyed everything in their path. Like, you know, I used to, like, when I was going to Liberty University, that's where I started as a political consultant. So when I was operating some local campaigns, I brought down a friend from Northern Virginia, and she had never been that down south in the Commonwealth in her life. So she was seeing parts of Virginia that she never knew existed. So we're talking about, you know, this is when the whole Confederate Monuments thing was going on. She was in a car with my candidate, and my candidate and I both looked at each other when she said Civil War, and we were like, whoa. Here, we call it the War of Northern Aggression. She had no clue what we were talking about.
That blew my mind.
Funny. It's like, you just got to know where you're at.
That's exactly right. And I know where I'm at. I'm surrounded in a sea of red. And in the past 10 years, I mean, they're red. They're so red. I'm surprised when you all look at the map, y'all like, man, that end of Virginia is bleeding. Which I don't have.
It's so funny because it's so funny because all the main voters are where I live, so it's a small area. I call it like, you know, southern DC at this point. And then you leave the Beltway and you start heading past Culpeper and Winchester, and it's like real Virginia at that point.
Yeah, and you know, I've had friends of mine that will say stuff like, you know what, you know, they need to have the Electoral College for here in Virginia when we're voting for senators and congressmen and all that. I'm like, why? They're like, well, because we keep losing down here. I'm like, well, maybe you need to turn a little purple. I'm not saying you go blue. I'm just saying you're a little purple.
Yeah, like I love. It's like I love gridlock, whether it's in the General Assembly or whether it's in Congress, because then they can't really do much, so everybody wins.
Yeah. They ain't doing much of nothing right. They ain't nobody doing much of nothing right now.
Yeah, but they're not getting furloughed, are they?
No. I got a question.
Their paycheck's still coming in.
I know this is off the topic. I know we kind of jumped a little bit into politics, but what is your opinion about the wall, Trump's wall?
I'm so glad you bring this up. I was actually born in a border town in Arizona called Sierra Vista, and the joke was you can step on my front porch, spit on the lawn, and you'll hit Mexico.
Yeah,
you know, I come at it from two things. I think, and somebody will make a Ocasio-Cortez joke about this, I know. But I think the moral thing is to build the wall. I think financially we can't afford it because we're around $20 trillion in the hole. And this, Trump only wants $5 billion to start construction of the wall. Now, that's just to start the initial construction. Like anything else, it will cost more as it goes along. I'm thinking that because he was a real estate developer, that he really knows what he's talking about, and they won't go above this. But estimates have shown that the cost of maintaining the wall from both natural and, people trying to mess with it and stuff, it is going to cost probably like $1 trillion like every decade or so. So we aren't taking money off our national debt, but we're going to keep putting more and more money on. So I think if you put the wall up there, it's going to disincentivize cartels, human traffickers, and the like of people that don't respect American law. But I also don't like spending money we don't have. So my thing is, I think we need to address a lot of other issues, such as why are people coming here illegally? I think, the drug war incentivizes criminal activity. I think the welfare state incentivizes bad financial behavior. There are a lot of reasons why people choose to come here illegally versus legally. And it's because when you go through the legal route, it costs a lot of money and it takes a lot of time. So when you look at our immigration system, I think the wall is good only for a short while, but it's like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. You're stopping the bleeding, but you're not addressing the real problem, which is hemorrhaging the country into financial and social disarray. So, it's a pretty mixed bag on that. But I don't think a lot of people that have never seen the U.S.-Mexican border really understand what it's like. Jim Acosta from CNN went down to follow Trump's visit to part of the wall. I don't know where it was. It was probably in Texas or something. And Jim Acosta was like, see, no one's sieging the wall. No one's trying to climb the wall. And it's like, Jim, that's because there's a wall there, and they don't want to do any of that. They're not going where the wall is. They're going around it where the wall isn't. So it's really weird. Mexicans, here's the thing, they don't really want to be here. It's just that Mexico kind of sucks. And I know that because I know Mexicans. I grew up right next to Mexico. The cartels have gone crazy. The government is insanely corrupt. The Mexican people are suffering under their own problems, which makes a lot of them want to come here. And you look at the money aspect of it. Why work for a job that makes you a couple pesos when you can just jump a few miles north and you can go pick grapes or something and make a couple dollars more and come back? I think the Mexicans are as much victims in the situation as America is. I think it's a failure of the American government to really address these issues, and I think it's a failure of the Mexican government to get their house in order. And because of that, regular people on both sides, regardless of the aisle, regardless of where they're from, are having to suffer because of this. Or what do I know? I just talk to imaginary people.
Well, I used to drive a truck cross country, and I'd go to L.A. and drop off furniture, and then go pick up fruit and vegetables out there, and Mexicans were working. And these people work harder than any people I ever seen in my life.
Have you ever seen a homeless Mexican?
No, I've actually seen 30 or 40 in a home at a time, but not a homeless one.
Yeah, I've been to almost every major city in America. I've lived in more states than I can count off the top of my head, and I have never seen a homeless Mexican in my life.
Nope, because they know how to work. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
I know it might sound, it might not be politically correct, but these people.
No, you have your token Latino here. I'll give you the pass.
Thank you. But, like I said, when I'd go pick up produce and stuff, and see these people out there working. I even ask a lot of the owners of the produce factories I stop at. I'm like, why don't you have any Americans out here working? He said, are you serious? I'm like, is that the wrong question? He's like, you ain't going to get no, and this is what he said, you ain't going to get no white boy or black boy go out there and work in that sun as hard as these people right here do. He said, nope, ain't going to happen. He said, I don't care. He said, the government tries to kick them out. He said, but if they did, then their produce will go through the roof because I'll have to pay $20, $25 an hour and then all these other benefits and stuff like that. So, I mean, I see where I don't think Americans are really looking at the bigger picture that these people are doing the work that they will not do.
That's true.
Yeah, exactly.
So these people,
you hit it right on the head.
Well, it does. It makes me mad. A lot of my friends around here say, well, they're coming in here to take my job. I don't see many Mexicans digging coal. How many Mexicans do you see digging coal around here?
No.
I mean, think about Trump. Even Trump hires, he can't get white boys, black boys, or whoever to work in his vineyards. He's got to get Mexicans or foreign workers to come and work his vineyards. So, I mean,
it's so funny, too, because you look at some of the biggest development contractors that have bid for some of the wall contracts, and they're all Mexican-owned. I mean, they're Mexican-American owned, but it's construction firms that are ran by families of Mexican descent who are offering to build the wall.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and if the wall is built, it probably will be built by Mexican labor.
Yeah, Pablo's going to be laying some brick. It's going to be hilarious. But I mean, that also shows it. It's like this is what it's come to. And I wasn't a big fan of a lot of the stuff he was saying, but if he weren't talking about this, he wouldn't have forced this conversation to happen, and it's something that needs to happen because I mean we're kicking the can down the road. We have a debt we can't pay off. We have unfunded liabilities that are going to bust. We have a pension crisis throughout the states and federally that no one knows how they're going to pay off, and very soon, like everything happens pretty cyclically, we're going to have another recession. Like within the next decade. I was just recording an episode of my podcast talking to a financial expert about this, and he's a bit more bullish than I am. He thinks that we're going to hit another financial crisis at the end of 2019. I think we're going to hit another financial crisis within the next 10 years. It's happenstance in terms of the stuff, but the thing is that we feed ourselves today, not knowing how we're going to feed ourselves tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's something that we all have to pay the price for, sadly.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And I also read, and I could be wrong, that there's like 3.5 million jobs that need to be filled here in America that they can't find workers for. But yet, they're making this big stink about. And my thing is, why don't we have processing centers set up? And I ain't talking about a type of center where you cage people up like animals. I mean, have the center set up, if you're going to put any money into it, where you can go ahead and start these people on the path to being citizens, and you can check them out before they even get out into the country.
It took about I want to say 7 years for my great grandmother to get her to citizenship. So my mom's side of the family is actually from Korea. My grandmother married my grandfather, who was an American citizen, a soldier, so she got citizenship. So they came to the U.S., and it took about 7 years to naturalize and get my grandmother her citizenship. And, it cost a lot of money. It took a lot of time. And even though he was, he went from being a soldier to a federal employee, it's not like anything came easier just because he had connections. In fact, it didn't. He got the same line as everyone else. Time. And, I do believe that, our immigration system is flawed, but, I've lived overseas, in Australia, if you're caught traveling illegally, what they do is they throw some handcuffs on you and they stick you in the middle of this island off the coast of East Timor, which is like a purgatory holding cell, and you sometimes have to wait years. Other places just deport you immediately. And the one thing that I tell a lot of, left-wing Americans that are like, just have open borders is, okay, I want to see you try and break into Mexico legally. And they're like, oh, I'd never do that. Because here's the unspoken thing. People think that our immigration system is harsh. If someone wants to pay me, I could probably do this very cheaply, maybe $10,000, so that way I can get the insurance and stuff needed to get a camera crew. I will walk across the desert into Mexico, try and get caught, and then show everyone what happens when the Mexicans find you breaking into Mexico, because it's not pretty. It's not pretty. Right. The way that we treat people, it's like we're using Border Patrol as an Uber service, because what happens is as soon as you're on American land, you can say I'm seeking asylum, and then what they do is they'll go ahead and process you. They have to give you a court summons notice, which a lot of Mexican human traffickers call a pass to get into the country, and then they'll send you back to Mexico. And then you have to go back to the U.S. for a court date. So then you go to a checkpoint and you say, oh, I have this pass. It's a court summons. So then you're here. They might put you in jail. They might keep you around. But you're having to answer for a crime that might take 7 to 8 months to process. In Mexico, they just put you in jail. They don't even wait for you. And you think they're going to give you a good lawyer? No, a U.S. Marine accidentally got stuck in Mexico, and he was there for 3 years before Donald Trump in 2014 intervened on his behalf because the Obama administration refused to, and Trump got him out. And Trump wasn't even running for president. It's insanity.
Oh, I agree. I know there's a place in Nogales where I picked up one time. In the back of the building was Mexico, and, of course, the rest of the building was in the United States. And the guy, one of the workers came out and told me, he's like, you want to go to Mexico? Have you been there? And I'm like, no. He's like, step right here. And I actually step off. He's like, you're in Mexico. And he's like, and you're an illegal alien. Get back.
Oh, my gosh. That's hilarious.
I'm serious. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow. I started jumping back and forth going, I'm in Mexico. Yes, I'm in Mexico. I'm in yes.
It's so weird because we know that area of Nogales you're talking about, and we've had a fence there for at least a decade. I think it was George Bush that put up the fence there. But it's so funny because you'll be on the road in America, and you look across the fence, and there's a manufacturing plant. And it's so funny because it's just right along this, and you see the parking lot for the plant is in America, but the factory is in Mexico because the fence divides it.
Yeah.
So it's pretty hilarious when that happens.
Well, I'll ask you a couple more paranormal questions then, since we got off into the politics. I get sidetracked easy. Melinda's sitting here looking at me like, Rodney. Ouija boards.
Don't touch it. Never. Evil.
Well, so much for that.
Yeah, sorry, that's a no-brainer one. I've got a story for you. We got this message on the Facebook page from this guy. If he's listening, I'm sorry. I might sound a bit rude, but you'll understand in a second why I freaked out. We get this message. He's like, I watched your show, and I really want to get into the paranormal, and I want to start investigating, and I'd like to go with you guys. I want to get some practice in first, so I bought a Ouija board, so I'm going to start using that in my house. And I'm pretty sure that my brother was reading it the exact same time I was, because on both ends of the house, we're both going like, no! So I hear him upstairs saying the same thing, so we meet at the stairs, and I'm like, did you see the message someone sent to the page? And he said, yes. I'm like, yeah, we're never touching someone whose first reaction is, I'm going to get a Ouija board.
Yeah, I know some people. I got a friend of mine. She likes them, and I told her, "Stay away from me. You're evil."
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's safer to play with drugs and an unprotected foreign hooker than that.
I'll bang you a long time. Just don't bring me that Ouija board. Well, have you had any other experiences other than the paranormal? I was going to say crypto, but you already said no. But how about UFO encounters?
I've never had a UFO encounter, but I have encountered some people I have thought might be aliens.
Oh.
And
okay, he's serious.
Yeah, I mean, I have encountered some people on road trips where something just didn't seem right. And for example, I stopped at this truck stop, and it was like around 11:30 at night. The actual convenience store part of it was closed, and I start seeing this like glowing light coming from the wood line as I'm filling up my car of gas, and suddenly the light kind of disappears. So I'm like, okay, that's weird. It didn't look like a car light, but it certainly wasn't fire. And just all of a sudden I see these two guys. One's wearing some overalls. The other one's wearing a Def Leppard shirt. And I thought that maybe they were moonshiners for a second. And they come closer to me, and they're talking to each other, but it wasn't like an accent or anything. It's like they were just making noises. And their eyes, like I also thought they were high for a second, but their eyes, it's like they were just kind of like glazed over. It was just really weird. So it's like they walked towards me. They're about 20 feet away. So I'm thinking, oh, are these guys about to mug me? They walk back into the wood line, and I see that glowing light come from the woods again. I am hearing them talking, and then suddenly when the light dies out, the talking goes away. And then I was like, okay, this is freaking weird. So I got in my car and I left.
Dang. Where was this at again?
It was near Selma, Alabama.
Okay, yeah. Oh, Lord. I just had a guest on about a month ago. He's from down, where was it? Florida. And he was actually tucking
Florida's a weird freaking state.
It is. The upper part, hillbilly, lower part, old people. It's like, what? Well, what's your opinion about people that have out of body experiences, or the people that can astro project?
Oh, I totally believe that. Totally. You know, when you look at certain things like the ayahuasca meditation ceremony, I mean, one, you're dealing with the most like crazy psychedelic ever. I don't have firsthand experience with this, but you know, like one thing I'm doing for myself next week is I'm going into a sensory deprivation tank. Basically, you know, you're in this closed off pod, which is filled with a whole ton of Epsom salt to kind of mimic like that of like what you'd have with like the Black Sea in like Israel, for example. And what they do is they close off the pod, so it's like you're floating at water, which is about the temperature of your body. There's no sound coming in. There's no light coming in. So people in this pod say that they have these strange, you know, out-of-body experiences. And I know that a lot of people that do meditation and stuff, like I mean, it's whether it's religious, whether it's spiritual, whether it's just for relaxation purposes. I mean, people have a lot of different ways of explaining what it's like to leave their bodies and go into a different realm of consciousness.
Wow, I bet that's awesome.
I believe that more than psychics.
I don't know why, but I did really feel that coming. Well, seeing how we're about out of time, what's your plans for for the new year 2019? You know, you got any projects or anything that you can discuss with us?
Well, I'll go ahead and do this. I'll announce this on your show as a special treat to your listeners that have been with us since the beginning of this episode. But I'm going to be releasing my second book, which is an ebook, which will be through the Argos Paranormal site, so no politics, but it's called the Gonzo Guide to Ghost Hunting, Ghosts, Demons, and the Unexplained. And that'll be coming out within the next 4 to 5 months. So that book is going to cover a lot of the knowledge and tips that my brother and I have gained from several years of ghost hunting, along with some inside stories of some of the crazier cases that we've encountered that you haven't seen on any of the shows we've done. So this book will be available on Kindle, so it'll just be on Amazon.com and easily accessible for everyone. They can read it on an iPad, a phone, whatever, and hopefully they'll learn something from this if they want to start getting into this.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks, man. I have to look it up. I'm actually
not a problem.
I don't have a title for my book, but I'm actually working on one. Well, my publisher's working on it. She better be. She said it's supposed to be out this spring, but give me a damn title. I want to talk about it.
You know what? One piece of advice: you gotta bug them to death.
No kidding.
You gotta work them.
Oh, I knew her. I'll work her real good. Oh, did I say that?
You so did.
Oh no. She hears the show, I'm screwed. Bad thing? No, I'm kidding.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. I'm getting off track. Remso, do you have a website or anything that if anybody want to contact you or if they got any questions?
Yeah.
Concerns?
So the best way to do that is, you can check out Argos Paranormal on Twitter, Facebook, and Minds.com. But the simplest way to do that is just go to Argos, ARGOS, paranormal.com. It's argosparanormal.com. And from there you can see all of our blogs, all the ways to contact us. You can watch episodes of The Witching Hour, and that's where the hub of everything is.
Awesome. Well, sir, it has been an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show. It's been educational and also fun.
Thank you so much. I never get to talk about demonology and border policy in the same show, so this was a first for me. I appreciate that.
That's one thing about my show. It's really different because I've actually had people that that contact me. Hey, I want to come on your show, and send me something. I'll send them something, and then they're like, hey, I don't want to come on your show no more. I'm like, why? You're all over the place, man. Well, sir.
But thank you both so much. I had such a great time, and hopefully we could talk again soon.
Oh yes, that's what I was going to say. The door's always open. Just knock, and we'll let you in as long as you're bringing the booze.
Oh, deal. I'll keep my pants on too the entire time. We'll be good on that.
And I'm not inviting Dave, so you ain't got to worry about strange balls just flying out everywhere. He ain't welcome. He stays home.
Awesome. Well, thank you both again. Looking forward to next time.
Oh, me too. Thanks a lot. You have a good night, sir.
You too. Bye.
Okay. Bye. Well, everybody, that's a great show. I thought it was a great show. You thought it was a great show?
I did.
My God, we go from paranormal to politics to balls to good Lord. Well, I want to thank Remso Martinez for coming on the show. We have nothing but respect for the man and the job he's doing. And like I said, we welcome him back anytime. Let's see, who we got on next week? Oh, yeah, I know. Next Thursday night, January 17th, we're going to be on a special time tomorrow. Next Thursday night, we're going to be starting at 11 p.m. The reason why is because we're going to, hopefully, if everything goes good, because this will make it the third time, hopefully 3 times is it, we can get Mr. Graham Phillips on, and he's across the pond in Great Britain, so we have to start an hour later. So
I'll be sleeping on your couch.
I don't care. Mr. Graham is Britain's best-selling nonfiction author, radio journalist, and broadcaster for the BBC. I already said all that. Damn it. I hate when I do that. So, yep, that's it. everyone have a safe good night, and nothing but love for y'all. It's supposed to be snowing like so deep to a giraffe this weekend, so everybody be careful. And I guess, you got anything you want to say?
Good night, everyone.
No, you know the one I like.
Good night, everyone.
That's it. She makes my nipples hard. That's it for us tonight. I want to thank everyone that took the time to listen in. I'd like to give a big shout out to the Vibe Radio Network and to Ryan for putting up with us. Also to all the first responders and our men and women in the armed services. Thank you for your service and the sacrifices that you and your families make every day to keep our great nation safe. Tune in next week to another exciting show starting at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Everyone can go to our Facebook page Within the Chaos, and don't forget to like our page to see upcoming guests along with past shows, postings, or you can also go to my website at www.blackdiamondps.org or blogtalkradio.com/Vibe Radio Network. Also, we have a YouTube channel, so go to YouTube, look up Within the Chaos for past shows. Thanks again. Until next week, everyone have a safe weekend and have a good night. And love you all. Be careful out there.
I'm sorry. But I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business. I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone if possible. Jew, Gentile, black man, white. We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness, not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate and despise one another. In this world there's room for everyone, and the good earth is rich and can provide for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful, but we have lost the way. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate, has goose-stepped us into misery and bloodshed. We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. Our knowledge has made us cynical, our cleverness hard and unkind. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. Without these qualities, life will be violent, and all will be lost. The aeroplane and the radio have brought us closer together. The very nature of these inventions cries out for the goodness in men, cries out for universal brotherhood, for the unity of us all. Even now, my voice is reaching millions throughout the world, millions of despairing men, women, and little children, victims of a system that makes men torture and imprison innocent people. To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass, and dictators die, and the power they took from the people will return to the people. And so long as men die, liberty will never perish. Soldiers, don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, or what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men. Machine men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines. You are not cattle. You are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate. Only the unloved hate. The unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers, don't fight for slavery. Fight for liberty. In the 17th chapter of St. Luke it is written, the kingdom of God is within man, not one man nor a group of men, but in all men, in you. You, the people, have the power. The power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world, a decent world, that will give men a chance to work, that will give youth a future and old age a security. By the promise of these things, brutes have risen to power, but they lie. They do not fulfill that promise. They never will. Dictators free themselves, but they enslave the people. Now let us fight to fulfill that promise. Let us fight to free the world, to do away with national barriers, to do away with greed, with hate and intolerance. Let us fight for a world of reason, a world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness. Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite!
At Hardee's, we love to surprise people. Surprise! We added the Loaded Omelet Biscuit to our 2 for $4 mix and match deal. Choose from our Loaded Omelet Biscuit and 3 other select breakfast favorites. Any 2 for $4.
Hardee's, because it tastes better.
Offer available for a limited time during regular breakfast hours at participating Hardee's restaurants. Price and participation may vary. Tax not included.